So in today's featured presentation, we have an interesting hybrid. This particular orchid that we're featuring today is the Vascostylis, and in specific, the Vasco Wine Festival, which is a perfect combination of the Vascostylis Crown Fox, the Vascostylis Red Gem, and also the Vanda Casem's Delight. And when I say perfect combination, I am referring to that perfect blend of all of the parents in this orchid, of which you can see shining through the blossoms and also the plant structure. And if we take a closer look at these blossoms, you are definitely seeing that very intense, very deep, very rich, dramatic burgundy wine color. So dramatic and so dark in this orchid, and I definitely believe that is coming from the Vascostylis Red Gem. And if we take a closer look at the actual face of the orchid, I believe that is also coming from the Vascostylis with the pollen cap or the column, and also the lobe and also the tongue area. Very reminiscent of the Vascostylis. And some other features that I do believe is coming from the Vascostylis is the fact that the texture of the petals and the sepals are waxy. They definitely have that glossy, shiny effect on the petals, reminiscent to the Rinco. And also another fact of this orchid is that it is fragrant, extremely fragrant as a matter of fact, having a very thick and spicy scent similar to the Vascostylis. Okay, so now let's talk about what I believe is coming from the Vanda. Well, as you guys know, the Vascostylis has somewhat of a smaller bloom, and I would say about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in the bloom size. Now, in this right here, this is actually about 3 inches in diameter, so you are seeing an enlargement in the blooms. And I believe the enlargement is coming from the Vanda because, as you guys know, the Vandas actually have pretty large blooms, or at least your basic Vanda. So indeed, the enlargement, I believe, is coming from the Vanda. And also, if we take a look at the plant structure, you are seeing that Vanda-like appearance, or even an Vascostylis appearance, but definitely not a Vascostylis effect, which you guys know usually have striations within the actual leaves, and also a thicker substance to the leaves as well. Although I will say that I did note that this does have somewhat of a thicker substance than your regular Vanda or Vascostylis, so it does have some traces of the Vascostylis in the thickness of the leaf. Now, taking a closer look at the structure of the actual flower itself, looking at the petals and the sepals in the way that it is formed, I really see the Vascostylis traces in this. This is reminding me so much of the Vascostylis, and I'm going to show you an Vascostylis, another variety that I have, and I'm sure you'll see the similarities. And here we are. This is another Vascostylis type that I have. And if we take a look, you do see some similarities. Now, I do note that the petals and the sepals are just a little bit more rounded, but indeed, you are seeing great similarities in the blossom form. And another characteristic that is so far away from the Vascostylis is the fact that this can bloom more than one time a year. And usually in your Rincos, you are seeing them bloom just one time a year, and that's usually within the spring, maybe beginning of the summer months, but that's usually the only time it will bloom. But as you can see here, you are noting that, look here, there's one spike there, another spike there, and another spike there, and yes, this is the 4th spike, and it's one leaf after the other. So this is one that likes to bloom often, as a matter of fact. So very different from the Vascostylis. I believe that is taking again from the Vanda or the Vascostylis. And that, my friend, is the reason I believe this is the perfect combination, the perfect blend, and the perfect hybrid of the Vascostylis, the Vascostylis, and also the Vanda. A perfect combination of the three, where you're definitely seeing all three parents within this orchid. Indeed, this is a gorgeous vandacious type of orchid. And if you love these types of orchids, I'm talking about orchids that are dramatic in color. I'm talking about orchids that are intoxicatingly fragrant and orchids that have multiple blooms and can bloom multiple times in the year. This indeed is an orchid for you. And if you see one of these, I would suggest that you pick it up right away because this orchid is not so widely available and no telling when you will see one of these again. I have to reiterate to you just how bold and how striking this orchid is in its very dramatic and very intense color. Also, I want to remind you that this orchid is very intoxicatingly and very mesmerizingly fragrant as well. This right here, folks, is an orchid that is truly worth having. And there you have it, folks. That is a complete Orchid in Review wrap for this Vascostylis Wine Festival. I thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode. And as you guys already know, I do truly love and appreciate you guys all. Please stay tuned for more, and I will see you guys later. And I will also grow with you guys later as well. Love you guys all. Mwah.